After giving my life to Christ, I was shocked by the number of people who asked me, New Age, what's that? I thought surely everyone knows what New Age is by now, but surprisingly, many didn't. Then only recently, my understanding expanded and I realized that New Age wasn't the only belief system I needed to consider. There's also something called New Thought, and I had no idea these were even considered different. So today I want to take some time to dig into both of these belief systems with you and to share some shocking truths about them, starting with the fact that neither of these movements are actually new at all. Let's take a step back and understand where New Age really comes from. Despite its modern popularity, the roots of New Age spirituality stretch all the way back to the Bible and even earlier. The practice of mediumship communication with spirits isn't a modern concept. It's something that's been around for centuries. The Bible itself mentions mediumship and condemns it in passages like Deuteronomy 18:10-12, where it warns us against practicing divination and consulting with spirits. This ancient practice was widely condemned by God, who made it clear that seeking guidance from the spirit world was dangerous and forbidden. Fast forward to the 19th century, and we see the rise of modern mediumship in the spiritualist movement. One of the key catalysts was the Fox sisters, whose so-called spiritual communications sparked a wave of interest in seances, spirit guides, and paranormal activity. Mediums began to claim that they could communicate with spirits from the afterlife, and this idea became central to what we know today as New Age spirituality. But it wasn't just the Fox sisters. One of the most influential figures in popularizing the modern occult movement was Madame Helena Blavatsky. Blavatsky was a Russian occultist who co-founded the Theosophical Society in 1875, which helped lay the groundwork for what would later become New Age thought. She combined Eastern religion, Western mysticism, and her own esoteric teachings into a system that emphasized spiritual evolution and the importance of contacting the spirit world. Blavatsky's work was a major influence on both New Age and New Thought, and her teachings paved the way for other figures like Alice Bailey and Deepak Chopra to rise to prominence. So what we see today in New Age spirituality, crystals, astrology, channeling, they are all repackaged versions of ancient occult practices. And it's shocking to think that what we call New Age really is just a rebranding of things that are older than the 19th century, including mediums and spirits and communication and divination. Now, let's move on to New Thought. This movement also began in the 19th century with figures like Ernest Holmes and Charles Fillmore laying the groundwork for what we now know as positive thinking and manifestation. New Thought teaches that the mind is everything, and by changing your thoughts, you can shape your reality. Holmes, for example, founded the Science of Mind, where he argued that God is an infinite mind and that we can access divine intelligence through our own minds. Charles Fillmore, co-founder of the Unity Church, also was another key figure. He introduced the idea of using affirmations to heal our body with our mind, and this philosophy centered around the belief that by affirming certain aspects about yourself, you can heal the physical, mental, emotional states. This concept of mental healing was revolutionary, but like New Age, it diverted attention from God himself and put the power into the human mind. But what's surprising is that this movement didn't stop in the 19th century. Today, many modern figures like Gabby Bernstein, Oprah Winfrey, and Marianne Williamson are often associated with New Thought teachings. And Marianne Williamson often teaches from the book called A Course in Miracles, and she teaches that we can heal and we can create our own reality if we can harness our thoughts and positivity within our mind. While these leaders may appear to be just promoting self-help, their teachings are rooted in New Thought tradition, which ultimately places too much emphasis on the power of the human will rather than on the need for surrendering to God's ultimate plan. And let's not forget about Abraham Hicks, one of the more modern faces of New Thought. Hicks promotes the idea of the law of attraction, which teaches that you can attract whatever you focus on in your life. She argues that everything is energy, and by aligning your energy with your desires, you can manifest what you want. Now, while these teachings can seem harmless, they ultimately lead to the belief that we can control our lives through our own thoughts rather than relying on God's will. This is where the danger lies. So what's the difference between New Age and New Thought? Both systems focus on empowering individuals through the mind. Both encourage you to believe that you have the power to manifest your desires. But while New Thought often includes mystical elements like spirits, astrology, and mediumship, New Thought is more focused on mentalism and the power of affirmations and visualizations. Despite the differences, both lead to the same conclusion that you, as an individual, are in control of your fate. In essence, you are your own God. So why are these practices so dangerous? Well, they encourage self-reliance, which is in direct opposition to what the Bible teaches. The more I dug into these philosophies, the clearer it became that they promote the idea that we as human beings are the ultimate source of power. The Bible warns us against elevating ourselves above God, and New Age and New Thought philosophies do just that. Proverbs 16:18 reminds us, pride goes before destruction, a haughty spirit before a fall. These practices are built on the lie that we can control our own reality, but in truth, we are called to trust in God, not in ourselves. By focusing on the mind as a center of power, these systems distract us from our dependence on God. And when we take God out of the picture, we place ourselves in harm's way. The Bible teaches us that true power comes from God alone, and that is the only place that we can find true peace and freedom. I mean, think about it. Sure, if things are going great and you have a major success or win in your life, you're like, oh yeah, look at me, look what I did that. But when things go to the wayside, who do you have to turn to? Oh, that was me, look at me, look what I did. It's the worst feeling in the world. But when you choose to surrender it all to God and to know that both your successes and your hangups are all just a part of God's grand plan, true peace, freedom, and happiness really come from there, because I've tried being my own God for far too long, and it only led to depression and anxiety, a place I do not want to be in again. So I want to urge you, if you've been caught up in New Age or New Thought, or if you've heard other people that are in your life talk about these practices, it's time to reconsider where true power truly comes from. It doesn't come from within. It comes from God, Jesus Christ, the source of freedom and truth. His teachings aren't about manifesting your own desires, but surrendering to His will and trusting in His plan for our lives. So I want to urge you, if you've been caught up in New Age or New Thought, or if you've heard other people that are in your life talk about these practices, it's time to reconsider where true power truly comes from. It doesn't come from within. It comes from God, Jesus Christ, the source of freedom and truth. His teachings aren't about manifesting your own desires, but surrendering to His will and trusting in His plan for our lives. In the next video, I want to spend a little time digging into this idea of pantheism, that all spiritual roads lead to the same God, and why specifically this belief doesn't work and why it's dangerous. This is something you won't want to miss.